You think you know Raiders of the Lost Ark? Well, here's 15 things you may not have known about Indiana Jones' first adventure created by top men.
Who? Top men.
George Lucas wrote a modern-day adaptation of 1930s and 40s film serials titled The Adventures of Indiana Smith in 1973, but shelved it in order to develop Star Wars. The name Indiana Smith was a combination of Steve McQueen's character Nevada Smith and Lucas's dog Jones, an Alaskan Malamute who was also the inspiration for Chewbacca. Steven Spielberg was interested in directing a James Bond film, but Lucas pitched him a character who was, quote, better than James Bond. Spielberg loved it, calling it, quote, a James Bond film without the hardware. The script was initially rejected by every major studio in Hollywood because Lucas wanted the studio to finance the $20 million budget, and Lucas would retain 40% ownership, plus almost half of all profits after the film reached a certain gross. Michael Eisner at Paramount took that deal because he felt that the script was one of the best that he had ever read. Spielberg initially suggested casting Harrison Ford as Indiana Jones, but Lucas didn't want Ford to become, quote, that guy I put in all my movies. Tom Selleck was offered the role, but was unavailable because of his commitment to the series Magnum P.I. Harrison Ford was cast just 3 weeks before filming. There was originally a sword fight choreographed for Harrison Ford, but he was suffering from dysentery and convinced Spielberg to cut the sequence by saying, let's just shoot the sucker. Marion Ravenwood was almost played by Sean Young, Salo was almost played by Danny DeVito, and Tot was almost played by Roman Polanski or Klaus Kinski. George Lucas did some directing on the second unit of the film. The boulder was 22 feet in diameter and made of fiberglass. This canyon is the same canyon where R2-D2 was attacked by Jawas. Speaking of R2-D2, he and C-3PO make a cameo in a hieroglyph in the Well of Souls. Much of this fight scene was improvised. One of the tires ran over Harrison Ford's knee and injured him.
It's not the years, it's the mileage.
Legendary sound designer Ben Burtt used a Winchester rifle for the sound of Indiana Jones's pistol. He hit leather jackets and baseball gloves for the sound of the punches. The sound of the snakes in the Well of Souls was made from him running his hands through a cheese casserole that his wife had made.
I hate snakes, Chuck! I hate them!
A toilet lid was used for the opening of the Ark. And the boulder sounds were tires from a Honda Civic rolling over gravel. The monkey saluting was captured by hanging a grape on a fishing pole out of frame and took about 50 takes. The monkey's voice was provided by Frank Welker, who would later voice the monkey Abu in Disney's Aladdin. The film was released on June 12, 1981, and became the highest-grossing film of the year. It was nominated for 9 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, Best Director, Best Original Score, Best Cinematography, Best Sound, and Best Visual Effects. In 1999, the film was added to the Library of Congress's National Film Registry for preservation, deeming it culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. And here's a bonus one. Raiders of the Lost Ark originally received an R rating from the Motion Picture Association of America because of Belloq's exploding head. PG-13 wasn't created until 1984, so the filmmakers were able to receive a PG rating by adding a layer of fire over the exploding head. That's it for this episode of You Think You Know Movies. Make sure to subscribe, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and get the latest movie and TV news on ScreenCrush.com.